Once the audio is squared away, you want to start looking at the picture. And this is another thing that, honestly, I usually do well before I'm done. Often when I'm first laying the images on the timeline, but again, I didn't want to overwhelm you. First, we'll look at reframing the images. So now if your images already look great, then you may not need to do this, but often I film my interviews a little loose so that I can zoom in on them when I start to edit. Here's the interview that I did with Tess, the way that we filmed it, and then here's how I reframed it. This one we filmed extremely loose because we actually filmed this long distance. She recorded herself in Arkansas while I was in California, and we hooked the camera up to a laptop so that I could see what the camera was capturing while I asked her the questions. But I left it pretty loose just because I wouldn't be able to easily make any adjustments once we started. My normal framing is usually a little tighter than this. So just like we adjusted the images when we talked about using still images for B-roll, you can do the same thing with video in most editing programs. I'll adjust the scale and I'll zoom in a bit, then adjust the position, with the X adjusting the horizontal and the Y for the vertical. Now, your program may call these controls something else, but scale or zoom is pretty common, as are the X and the Y for positioning. I'm not setting a keyframe here because there's no motion. I could add motion if I wanted to, but there's no need unless I have some reason to do it. So there's no key beginning and ending frames that I had to set, and without that, any reframing that I do, it just affects the whole clip. So once you've reframed one clip, you may want to see if your program can copy and paste that zoom in as an effect or as an attribute. Mine does. The scale and position are considered attributes of the clip, so I can copy the clip that I made the adjustment to, then I select every other clip of that same interview, and then I paste the attributes. Final Cut even makes this easier for finding the clips because it has an index that shows the name of every clip on the timeline. So I do a quick search for Tess. It shows me every Tess interview in this project, and I can select them all there, except for the one that I'm copying, and then bam, they're all reframed. Another reason to make sure that you rename all of your files before you start editing. Then I do the same for all the other interviews. And I also look at the B-roll. Does it need any reframing too? Next up, now that the images are framed how we want them, we're going to take a look at color correction.